Hello and welcome to Chuck's Culture Channel. This time around, I'm going to be talking with St. Louis actor, writer, director, and founder of the Midnight Theater Company, Joe Hanrahan. His new show, St. Louis Woman, stars Leica, who has been making a huge name for herself as a singer here in St. Louis lately. It takes place right behind me at the Zach Performing Arts Center here in St. Louis. And to find out more about what that show is about, just watch this minute or so of video.
The Midnight Company presents St. Louis Woman. The city, the songs, the women. A musical and theatrical tribute to the phenomenal women, the St. Louis women who created the music and art that brought the world to our city. Josephine Baker, Fontella Bass, Tina Turner, Ann Peebles, Katherine Dunham, Maya Angelou, Willie Mae Ford Smith. Join me, Leica, as I perform their tunes, their dance, their poetry, and present their remarkable lives. October 6th through 22nd at the Zach Theater. Get your tickets now at metrotix.com.
Okay, so there you go. That is a little something about St. Louis Woman. It's going to be at the Zach, which is right behind me. And now, next to me is the man who wrote, directed, and produced this show, none other than the founder of the Midnight Company, Joe Hanrahan. Joe, welcome to the Culture Channel.
Thank you, Chuck. Glad to be here.
And tell me more about this show. We already know that it's about some of the key female singers in St. Louis's history and about the city itself, but you wrote it, so you got to be able to tell us a lot more about it.
I should be, able to. So, this show kind of just stemmed from an accidental meeting between this woman in town who sings named Leica and myself. I was so impressed with her singing. She came to see some of my theater because she wanted to learn more about that and how to present herself on stage when she wasn't singing. We started talking, and the idea of collaborating came up, and this idea just kind of arose. The show does focus on some of the great women in St. Louis who have produced art, not just music, but dance. Josephine Baker, not Josephine, but Katherine Dunham, who came here.
Katherine Dunham, right?
Yeah, and and then Maya Angelou, who was, she danced, she sang, but she was primarily known as a poet and a writer. So we cover these women, and we've tried to, it's been tough because there are hundreds of great female artists who have been in our past and are working today, singers and musicians and writers. But we've tried to focus on the giants, the women who really transcended, a local connection, who often moved, but then impacted the world. We start the show with just a couple of songs about St. Louis women. Frankie and Johnny and St. Louis Blues, songs that put the city on the map musically. And then in the middle of the show, there are a couple of women who may not be giants, but they're pretty prominent. Fontella Bass and Peebles, who gave us two big songs, and we thought they deserved to be in here because of that. But primarily, we focus on a handful of just world-class female figures who were, in St. Louis at some time or a lot of their lives, and got some of the roots of their creative work and also their personality from living here. And all of these women, we acknowledge it, except maybe Katherine Dunham, had to grow in very tough circumstances, and had to, fight their way through a lot of prejudice and a lot of restrictions in their lives.
Well, honestly, just being a woman and Black and being in the performing arts when all of these women were in their prime was pretty much a big challenge all by itself. I mean, I'm sure Katherine Dunham encountered a lot of problems.
Yeah, I didn't mean to dismiss that. Although she grew up in a more wealthy, not wealthy, but
right,
good to do family, where the others kind of. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Josephine Baker at the height of her career, coming back to the United States at one point. She was a hit in some nightclubs in Miami, but then went to New York, and I was just treated like just in a dirty fashion by the Copacabana there in terms of service to her and stuff. And that incident led to some issues that caused the eventual closing of that place.
Well, she had to go to France to get the respect she deserved for her talent.
She did.
which
And then when she first hit there, she she took over the country. She was
Mhm.
the star. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you and I did Leica work with you on the show at all?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm the writer, but Leica has been an editor, and
Yeah. Okay.
we have together we have chosen or eliminated some women. We have chosen or eliminated some stories. Leica's got great story instincts about telling this story, and also about telling it in the right way. She's been very careful about the sensitivities of the many things we deal with, and I couldn't ask for a better partner.
Okay. So what made the two of you choose these particular women?
Well, the concept, I developed the concept and I kind of started with these women. I think most
Oh,
of these
okay.
women were there right in the beginning, and we agreed on them, and we had to cut some very tough cuts. There was one woman we wanted to include. It's tough to call her a St. Louis woman, but she was Billie Holiday, who didn't
Oh,
really
okay.
live here, but she played here a lot. She sang at a place called the Plantation Club in the 40s. It was a club up on Delmar, and that was like the old Harlem spot.
Yeah, Cotton Club and places like
Cotton Club,
that. Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, white audiences and the best black musicians of the day, and we just
Mhm.
thought that would be a good comment on, again the tough situation, but also we used it to spin off on the many interesting clubs that. That hosted St. Louis music in the 40s and 50s, including Chuck Berry's own rock and roll club. But eventually we decided to, Billie couldn't really qualify as a citizen here. So much as we loved
Yeah.
her, we had to keep her out.
Yeah, keeping the local focus. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
there were a lot of great clubs here and also, great vaudeville theaters, many of which are now gone.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
remember reading a biography of W.C. Fields, who played
Hmm.
here when he was a young man. As a young boy, I mean, he was a great juggler. So he played.
Right.
He always called St. Louis and the vaudeville circus one of the toughest cities in town to play. Tough audiences.
Yeah.
He had
Yeah.
a great story about once going to his usual theater in town here to play, and he noticed there was a new doorman. Guy watched the stage door. He said, "Who's that guy?
Mhm.
Watch, he looks pretty tough." And they said, "Oh, that's Frank James, Jesse's brother."
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you're going to be doing this. We haven't told people when and where it's happening. We mentioned the Zach, but what are your dates for this thing?
Yeah, we open on October 6th and run till the 22nd. We play
Okay.
Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 8 o'clock with two matinees, Sundays the 9th and the 16th at 2 p.m.
Okay, and of course, if you want to know more about this, folks, you don't have to be taking notes because down below here in the video description field, you will find all the links and other information that you need about this show. But of course, to broaden the discussion a bit, Joe, this is not exactly the only thing you're doing right now, right? Because Midnight has a full season.
Well, this is the third show in our season,
Yeah?
and this season happens, and the final. This season happens to be our 25th anniversary season, so we think it's a nice way to end it with this big show. But I am, as you mentioned, I am looking seriously at 2023 and a few
Mm-hmm.
different venues and places to work with, and I am part of one little thing coming up in November, which is the True Community Theater Sharts Festival, a shart play I wrote. Will be
Okay.
part of that lineup, and I'll be acting in that.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, so I guess I'd forgotten this was the last show of the season, but of course you're already working for next season. So
Yes.
finally, for folks who may not know, folks from out of town who may not know what the Midnight Company is all about, why don't you tell us just a little bit about what its purpose is? Because it is an unusual sort of theater company.
Yeah, I think the couple of things different about us maybe is we try to do shows that are new to St. Louis. We don't always do that, but for the most part, most of what we've done have been new scripts we've found or scripts we are writing.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing about us is we don't have a permanent theater. Folks always ask, "Where's your theater?" Well, we jump around. We usually
Hmm.
do a couple of shows at the Kransberg each year, and a show at the Chapel each year. And when we started, we played all over. I mean, we played in bars and museums and
Right.
studios and abandoned warehouses. And Judy Newmark, when she was the Post critic and reporter on theater, she said something nice about us. She said that the Midnight Company kind of proves that theater is an art and not a building.
Right. Right. Well, and it's not unusual here in St. Louis. Joan Lipkin, who we both know is very prominent in the local theater community, once said that theater in St. Louis is mostly about real estate.
Yeah, and also, you know what it's also about, if you're looking at us from New York and Chicago, is traffic. I mean, unlike those cities, which are great theater cities, you can walk or take a cab usually. Here, you have to drive. It's a
Yeah.
challenge for our audiences.
Yeah. I mean, it helps that we have Grand Center, which has
Mhm.
several performing arts venues in one place,
Yeah.
but including the Dot Zac. But yeah, generally speaking, we're scattered all over the place.
Mhm.
Well, Joe, thanks for taking a few minutes to talk to me here. Listen, is there anything more you want to add before we close this out?
No, just that we think this is going to be an educational show. I mean,
Okay.
these women, as prominent as they are, I mean, I learned things about them and stuff, and some of them I knew as a name and as an artist, but not a lot about their lives. So we think this will teach folks something. We think it's going to be very entertaining. Lake is a tremendous singer who will really deliver on these songs. She's also, performing the show. She's acting and she's dancing. We've had a choreographer, Ashley Tate, part of the Ashley Leanne Dance Company, who she'll be doing some dances to illustrate what some of these women did. We have a great band behind her, so the music's going to be really good, and uh,
Okay.
and and I think it's going to be inspirational. Especially we're trying to urge that maybe folks bring some kids, middle school, high school kids, because we think what these women had to struggle against and achieve could truly be an inspiration for kids who are like trying to figure out what they're going to do and how they're going to do it.
Yeah, and their history may not be history that they're going to get in school. So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's all the more important. Okay, Joe Hanrahan, founder and playwright and director of the Midnight Theater. Thanks for taking a few minutes to talk about your upcoming show. And all you out there, hey, listen, tune in to the next Chuck's Culture channel. Check out the links at the bottom of this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.
See you, Chuck. Thanks.